The Temple of Light, Center for Spiritual Living in Kingston, Jamaica, and welcome to those who are online listening in to this discovery session. Every couple of weeks, twice a month, we have discovery on the second and fourth Sundays. I'm Reverend Michael Record, and my assistant is Jean Barnes, who has been coming to the temple even longer than I have, which is more than 20 years. I welcome again those who are in the sanctuary, those listening online. At the Temple of Light, everything begins with an affirmative prayer, an opening prayer, also known as spiritual mind treatment. And so I'm asking those who are listening online and in the sanctuary to join me as we give thanks to our source for all the blessings that are in our lives. We go within. Within is God. Within is the source of all the joy, all the abundance, all the beauty, all the peace and harmony, and above all the love that is in our lives. And all these blessings that are present right now in the sanctuary and in the hearts and minds of those listening online. We give thanks to the source. And we know that as we give thanks, as we show gratitude, more of what it is that we're giving thanks for flows into our lives. That is the law of giving and receiving. And we are giving and receiving love and joy and peace and light and wisdom in this discovery session. And all is well. I know this, I believe this. I release my word to the law that makes it so. And so it is. So it is. The topic this morning, and I'm paraphrasing, is the happiness that flows into our lives as a result of our following the principles of religious science. Yeah. The word that is used is the pure bliss. That is the phrase. That is the original phrase. But I'm not sure about pure bliss. We're talking about happiness. It's another term for pure bliss. But choose whichever one you want. I'm going with happiness. If you wish, you can choose pure bliss. But the point is, good things flow into our lives, and we feel good when we follow the principles of science of mind. And those principles are succinctly put together in our declarations of principles. And I will be referring to those principles as I go throughout this talk this morning. The very, very first principle is we believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God, It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. That is the first clause of about a dozen or so in our Declaration of Principles. And I'm going to ask those who are with us, either online or in the sanctuary, to tell me in what way would happiness, or if you wish, pure bliss, flow from our following that very first principle. The belief in the living Spirit Almighty, the one that manifests itself in and through all creation. The Spirit Almighty that has created the universe, which we know as the body of God. How can happiness flow from our belief in that first clause? Anyone want to take that one and run with it, as they say? Our musical director, Angela Elliott, is first. Okay, is first to the mic. Over to you, Angela.
I tend to live with just one principle, and I think that first declaration, it covers everything. And for me, if God is expressing through me, then all I have to do is to allow God to express through me. And I am conscious of this, and this is something that it's in my spiritual practice every day, because I'm not saying that I don't have to practice this awareness, but in every single situation, it is God expressing through me. So whatever comes up, I affirm that connection, and I just allow God to express, to take charge of everything. And there's no big and small for the universe, and the universe works amazingly.
Just before you go, explain the causal connection between what you just said and your feeling of happiness.
But there's a confidence and there's a security that whatever it is, it's going to work out because the universe is in charge. So what more? I mean, that is bliss.
That is pure bliss. Thank you so much, Angela.
The bliss comes from knowing that one with God is a majority. And there is nothing else, nothing to fear, only God to know in all circumstances and situations.
Yes. That absolutely makes sense. That was Carol Charlton, a practitioner.
I'm just not taking issue, but just a little
Jean Barnes.
explanation of flowing into. Nothing is flowing into us because it all exists in us already. It's coming from us. What we are doing, we are accepting His presence in us. It's not going to flow into us. It's there. We are made in the image and likeness of God. So we are peace, love, we are those things. That is our nature, that is our intrinsic, and that is the I am that we all are. So what we are doing, we are not, the love is not flowing into flow, we are going to reveal the love that exists already. We're going to affirm it, accept it, and then reveal it. And it flows in us,
Within us, through us, yes.
through us, to out, and it comes back to us to replenish us. So there's nothing. What we really need to do is to accept. That is, accept that we are one with God.
Yes.
We are one with God, and anything that God is,
Yes.
we are as a human being. Like we are godly human being, because we have height and weight and everything. So we're not all of God, but we're some part of God and part of all of God's creation. And we are that already. So we want to We accept it, and now what we want to do is to show it, just to reveal it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jean Bond, my assistant this morning. Thank you very much. Right. Anybody else on that first clause? Let's move to the second clause. We believe in the incarnation of the Spirit in everyone, and that all people are incarnations of the one Spirit. How does that make us feel? Joyful, happy, blissful, knowing that we all are incarnations of the one Spirit. There's only one Spirit, God, and we are incarnations. We are the bodily form, part of the universe of that one Spirit. And Jean is looking quite blissful as she contemplates that idea. Anybody else want to comment on that? The matter that we are the Spirit in bodily form. We are the manifest.
So it means I'm not separate from you, you're not separate from me. We are all body interaction.
And yes, we are all, and we all are using the one mind and the one Spirit that is God.
But of course, walking through our humanity sometimes, that vision gets a little cloudy, so it gives you the same that.
Carol Charlton is making the point that as we face the vicissitudes of life, sometimes the challenges make our eyes a little cloudy, make our vision not quite as clear as it might be. And what do we do at that stage, Carol? When our vision becomes cloudy, when our eyes are not quite as sharp as they should be?
Change your thinking. Change your
Carol
change
says,
your experience.
okay, it starts, Carol is pointing out, reminding us, with the changing of our thinking, the changing of our thought, the changing of our perception of what is going on in the world. And she says,
Recognizing that when it's speaking, so we say check and change.
yes.
Check it, check what's happening.
So folks, there is a microphone over here, you know. No, the cord can't go any further.
If you think about it, where every day, every moment is an opportunity for realizing, for recentering yourself, from taking the vision from where we want to street to centering it on what we are.
Carol is reminding us, there's a hymn that says, new every morning is thy love. Carol is saying, actually, every moment is a new moment in time. Every moment is a new beginning for our lives, every single moment. And we just have to change our thinking at that moment, change our perception at that moment, and our lives will begin anew.
What I find
It's-
is that we often
You're over that side. No, it's just that because you are over there, Jean. You are my assistant, so you have to set the.
I cannot do any exercise and you say, oh, listen. I often hear the plea, I am only human. Not good enough. Not good enough. We are, but people, well, I'm only human, no, we are far more, we are divine. We are. We're divine, clothed in a form that has come to pass, it's come to go. Essentially, we are divine. So the humanity that we are, Jesus was fully human, When he knew that that the life that he had could be given up because he would live forever. So to be fully human is to recognize your divinity. To be fully human. We don't use our humanity as an excuse, for our weaknesses. I'm only human. No, we're not only human. We are truly divine. So the divinity within us supersedes the humanity that we are. And if at every step of the way we recognize that we are God in action. Who sees us when I see you, when you do something that is beautiful and I see you, I'm seeing God. It's not anything otherworldly or lovely or anything. It's the truth. When I see you, I see God. But we are all God in action.
Jean is reminding us that we are fully human and also we are divine. They're not contradictory. She made a sentence, used a sentence which I really like. We are divine because we are human. That really is very nice and nicely put, Jean. Thank you so much. That's correct. We're moving on now to the third clause in our Declaration of Principles. We believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul, forever and ever expanding. Now, there is something that really should make us feel happy. We believe in the eternality, the immortality. We are really immortal in our spirit, in our souls. The body is just material, and material things disintegrate. But our soul, the real us, is eternal and immortal. And not only that, but our soul is forever and ever expanding. The expansion never stops. There is no limits. There are no fences around that expansion, because we are becoming more and more our source, God. And the expansion goes on forever. And Courtney Johnson, who is also a practitioner, is going to comment on that particular clause.
No, not a dialogue, but with a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Forever expand. It means, to me, I simplify it to mean that what we call the individual is the, we tend to think that we are isolated, as again, from other things and other beings and so on. But it means that we become more inclusive. We become more all-inclusive eventually, because we find ourselves in excluding other things, and so we have a limited notion of who we are at this moment. So we are in fact, but we have nothing that level of realization that
we are to include and not exclude. That's what you're saying.
I didn't hear it fully, but
we are to be inclusive.
Inclusive.
Yes.
We are inclusive. We are not. Nothing is excluded from our identity. But at this stage in our evolution, we are not yet there to be that all-inclusive entity.
Yeah. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you. Thank you. Right, he's just underlying the thing that the universe is the body of God, and we, human beings, are the body of God. We are also the Spirit of God. And that Spirit is forever and ever expanding. I'm sorry? Yeah, some people had to get a drive. Okay. The next principle, principle number 4, we believe that heaven is within us, and we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. So heaven is not something out there, it's not a place out there, either in the world or in the universe, for us to die to go to. Not a place like that at all. We are in heaven, and we have heaven within us. That's correct.
And we know because we have that heavenly feeling, a feeling of in heaven. And it's very difficult to describe it.
Jean,
I can't afford to lose 1 ounce.
Jean is saying that we have a heavenly feeling, and whenever we have that heavenly feeling, then we are in heaven, which makes sense, which makes absolute sense. Thank you so much, Jean. The next, number 5, clause number 5. We believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and this goal is sure to be attained by all. So the goal of life, the ultimate one, is that we will have no discord at all. We are then certainly going to be in pure bliss, to use a phrase that was in the original statement this morning of our intention. Pure bliss, and there's no more discord. And that is the goal of our life. But the question is, what do we do as we move towards that goal and find the various obstacles on the road to that ultimate goal? What do we do when we find the obstacles? Jeannie, and there are all sorts of obstacles, of course. There are obstacles from inside us, emotional obstacles. There are obstacles by way of what happens in nature, and I'm thinking about the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. There are obstacles, again, put quotation marks around that, caused by other human beings in our lives who want something different from the things that we want, and we perceive them as obstacles, though of course they could be stepping stones and not obstacles at all. But what do we do? Gina, you want to give us some?
What we do with everything that appears. It's
Appears.
an appearance.
That's right.
It's an appearance. And we cause that appearance ourselves. We cause that to appear because these things help us to grow. These challenges. So these challenges, we are the cause of everything in our life.
Yes.
Good, bad, and indifferent.
Jean is saying, yes, we are the cause of everything in our lives. Because of the law of attraction, we attract things that come into our lives. We attract them. It's not that they just appear. We attract them because of our speaking, acting, or thinking.
Our awareness of them.
Our awareness of them.
Our awareness of them.
That's right.
It's our consciousness.
There you go. That's a good point. Because there are so many things that are around us that we are not aware of. That's very true. And as we become aware of certain things, then they become challenges or obstacles.
To help us on our way to accepting our full being.
So what we should do is to accept them not as obstacles, but accept them as stepping stones to help us to grow.
The goal shall be surely attained
by all, yes.
By all. In terms of this being emancipated from the score of every nature, this emancipation, first of all, is a continuous emancipation. It's not like being fully emancipated in the sense that you reach somewhere and you have further emancipation to experience. But you're coming on a night when you feel better and better and all of that. But because the universe is continuous and it's everlasting, we are reaching higher and higher and higher levels of experience. And this goal that we have in mind is maybe now looks maybe fixed. But when you reach there, we find out that we still have more levels of magnificence to experience and so on. But I realize that continuous emancipation. And the question you ask, what do you do when you see an obstacle? And then you have an issue. You either deal with what you can deal with at that point. You observe yourself, what is out of alignment. You center yourself and realign yourself to that degree and in that way. Because there is a continuous process and you may want to be integrated with everything. And so on. So you localize what you can deal with. So you don't have an issue, that's the formula. You just localize your treatment of the situation. And when you meet another, you apply the same principle of aligning yourself, centering yourself, and deal with that to the best you can deal with it. But you will be at a higher level and at a different milestone every time you overcome a new obstacle. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Yes.
Don't speak.
Just to summarize, what Courtney was saying is that you might encounter what we call obstacles, and you deal with it in the way that you can at that particular moment. And it's not that every obstacle in life, every challenge in life is going to be overcome at any one moment. It is a continuous process of overcoming. And the interesting thing about it is that each time that we overcome, we move up one level. So we are always climbing up the ladder, climbing up the stairs, moving up more. That's right. He used a phrase, continuous emancipation. It doesn't come at one time, it comes gradually. And to quote our principle, our soul is forever and ever expanding. Good. Thank you, Courtney. That's a good point. The next clause, we believe in the unity of all life. That's one part of the sentence. We believe in the unity of all life. We are all sons and daughters of the one source. Everything is one. There is nothing but God, is a common saying in our teaching. There is nothing but God. There is only one life. That's right. And we believe in the unity of it. That's the first part. And the second part of that sentence is the highest God and the innermost God is one God. So inside us there is God, and around us there is God, beneath us there is God, above us there is God, and the innermost God is the same God that is exactly all around, and in other people as well, in other forms of life. It's the same God inside us that is that God around, about, above, beneath, and within other people. Very good. Next clause, we believe that God is personal to all who feel the indwelling presence. Now, some people might wonder about, is God personal, or is God just a force somewhere out there, or even a force inside? Is God personal? And this clause explains it very, very well. I like it. God becomes, remember, everything is God, you know. So God is a force out there. God is a force of nature. There's nothing but God. So in that sense, there is an impersonality about God. But people just intrinsically want a warm, personal God. And this clause explains when and how God becomes personal. God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. So when you feel it inside you, the same God that is all around you and in other person, when you feel it inside you, then it becomes personal to you. Yeah, that's a good point. We are persons. Yes. That's a good point. Good point. A good point, Courtney. A good point. We are persons. So when we feel this presence inside us, it is personal. Yes, it's the feeling. Yes, it is the feeling. Yes. So God is there. God is in us. God is around us, etc. And we don't feel the God presence all the time, unfortunately. But when we feel it, then it becomes very personal. Reverend Elmer used to have conversations with God, very personal conversations. God, what am I to wear to church this morning? You can't get more personal than that. She asked the question, and one can only believe that since she continued asking it daily, she got an answer. Otherwise, she'd soon give up if she wasn't getting an answer. So and then of course there's Neil Donald Walsh, who has written, I think, about 8 or 9 books, Conversations with God. So a lot of us have conversations with God. In fact, all of us have conversations with God when we pray. The next clause in the Declaration of Principle, we believe in the direct revelation of truth through the intuitive and spiritual nature of the individual. So we all have an intuitive and innate spiritual nature. And because of that spiritual nature, truth is going to be revealed to us. Remember, there's one mind. And when we become aware of that mind in us, and start having conversations, then we will get answers to our questions, we will get responses to the discourse that we set up. And that's it in a general way, but the point that is being made here, the key point that is being made here is that we all, every single one of us, can be a revealer of truth. That's interesting. So it's not that, as they believed in the Middle Ages and before, you had to go to your clergyman, and there were no clergywomen in those days. You had to go to your clergyman and ask them, what is it that God is saying to me, to us, to the society? And they would say, God is saying so and so and so and so. No. That's not what our principles teach. Our principles say that each one of us can be a revealer of truth. What do I mean by that? God speaks directly to us.
And there are things that we have to sometimes understand intuitively, and everybody is different. But it can't, it's not everything I can explain to you. Beyond that, there are things that I understand.
Well, Courtney, the intuition is the voice of God speaking to us. That's what the intuition is. The intuition is God speaking to us. So we will feel, oh, I wonder where that came from. Some sort of inspiration. That was God speaking to us. We call it intuition, but the other. Yes, I'm trying to say, Courtney, don't put it in the passive like that. They are revealed to us. Put it in the active mood. God speaks to us, and we call it intuition. But not every time we are going to say, oh, God said something to us. Sometimes we will say, oh, I just got this idea, I got a brainwave, I got this thing. It just came from out of nowhere, it seems. Well, according to this principle, it is our intuition that is God speaking to us. And any man may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with this indwelling God. So you just need to become more and more aware of the indwelling exactly. And you will get more and more the inspiration. You'll get more and more these bright ideas. You'll get more and more these light bulbs going up in your head. That's just another way of saying God is speaking. Go ahead, Michael.
A lot of things that we consider very are one thing that one guy did tell me to do something.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, sir.
It's
That's right. That's
voice.
right.
It's a still small voice.
That's correct.
And it's God.
Yes.
It's all the same thing.
That's right. That's right. Whatever name you want to give it, you may want to call it intuition. You may want to call it inspiration. You may want to say muse. There are so many names that you can give this still small voice, the voice of God, which is speaking to you. There you go. So it's all one. It's all one. It's all one. There's nothing but God. Next clause. We believe that the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God. So there's a distinction there between spirit and law. And we are surrounded by this mind. And guess what happens? That mind which surrounds us think of ourselves like dumplings floating in soup. We are dumplings floating in a vast ocean of soup. That creative mind around us receives the direct impress of our thoughts. Wait a little, there are two things happening here. That mind around us receives the impress of our thoughts. So when we think, it's like you're stamping something, stamping up an envelope or something. It receives the impress of our thoughts. But that's not where it stops. The mind acts upon our thoughts. And that, of course, is why you hear the phrase, we are co-creators with God. God is always around us. Think about ourselves. We are dumplings and soup. God is always around us. Or if you wish, fish in the sea. Sea's water is always around us. And when we think, there is a stamping, there's an impress on that substance around us, that God mind around us, and something happens. The mind acts upon it. And what happens in our lives? What we desired to be manifests, because God is forever creating. Mind is if there's one thing we know about God, we know that God is creative. We just need to look around us for proof that God is creative, because this matter didn't come from nowhere. The Bible tells us things which are seen comes out of things which are unseen. That unseen is the spirit and mind, the creativity of God. And so the things that happen in our lives happen because we attract them. We're going to go with Michael first. He put up his hand first, and then Jean. Go ahead, Michael.
I think that God is the big bang, but it's a spiritual big bang in which He divests Himself of control, and so He gives us free will, but He also gives us the capacity to be always in communion with Him, with His still small.
Well, that's why I use the phrase co-creation. There's always a continuous flowing, giving and receiving, giving and receiving. It never stops, giving and receiving. We're always thinking, and so we are always impressing on the mind, that universal mind, and that universal mind is always creating. So we need to be, just a word of caution, we need to be careful what we impress on that mind, because if we impress things which flow from fear and doubt and anger and these quotes unquote negative emotions, I say quotes unquote because I'm not sure that emotions are negative in a way. They are all positive in a way, but let's call them negative because there are some things we don't want in our life. So precisely. So if we are impressing by way of something negative again, anger, fear, doubt, ill will, that sort of thing, then what is going to manifest in our lives is stuff that we do not want. That is how it works. Read the first 4 chapters of that amazing text, Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. Amazing. The thing itself, how it works. Amazing 4 chapters. And the rest of the book is also fantastic. No. He said, and he says this several times, he collected the principles, which some from the Bible, some from the religious book of all over. The Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, all over. He collected them and synthesized them and put them in that and call it religious science.
But one of the first he said we have to clarify our thinking because lots of people will tell you, I never want that. Nobody wants the bad thing that happened, so why do they happen? You have to clarify your thinking.
Correct. That's right.
Because it is your feeling that moves after all, that energy. It's your feeling.
That's right.
So why are you using your mouth to say all the lovely things? If your feeling is not going along with it, or
Yes.
if your feeling nature
It's not reflected in your words, exactly, yes. What you're feeling, not what you're saying. Right? That's right. That's right. Yes. The universe responds to the feeling.
It is that in your and that resides in your subconscious.
There you go. There you go.
So you have to clarify the thinking.
No, the declaration gets very, very specific. We believe in the healing of the sick through the power of this man. So the sick, again, sick should be in quotation marks, through the power of this man. Why I say it's in quotation marks is because out of sickness, out of illness, for many, many, many people, I'm not talking not just hundreds, but thousands, maybe tens of thousands, out of sickness comes something very, very positive. And when they look back at whatever it is, they say, that wasn't sickness at all. That was simply a stepping stone to where I am now. You call it sickness, you can't call it. Listen, we can name anything we want. We could have called it chair, we could have called it microphone, but we choose to call it sickness or illness or whatever it is. But the point is that whatever it is, it can be changed through the power of our mind. Next one, second to last, penultimate. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all. Now, one only needs to think of one thing: the sun rising every morning and bringing light to you. There are some tribes, some peoples, who are so grateful for the sun rising every morning that they became sun worshippers. But you could, if it's not the sun, you could look at any other thing of any other manifestation of nature. The people in ancient Egypt, with the Nile overflowing its banks every year after the rains, and flooding the terrain around it with rich soil which they could plant on. They were so grateful for that, and it came every time. What am I saying? I'm saying that nature supports us. That's what I'm saying. Nature supports us. Now don't believe that if we are foolish enough to walk out in the middle of a storm, the storm is going to stop. That it would be foolish of us to walk out in the middle of a storm, because the storm is one aspect of nature. And I could go on to the other. There we go. There we go. Yes, of course. There are a lot of parables in the Bible which are not identified as parables, but they are parables. What I mean by parables, they are stories to teach us something. And the final one, we believe in our own soul, our own spirit, and our own destiny, for we understand that the life of all is God. And that is the last declaration. And I'm going to ask Jeannie to come and give us our closing treatment. Jean Barnes, closing treatment.
Be still and know that I am God, the living Spirit Almighty. Know that I am that which is. That which is God, the allness, omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, everywhere evenly distributed. The be-all and the end-all, the Alpha, the Omega, the allness. And each one of us is created in that image and likeness. So each one of us, in this form of ourselves, is the spiritual image and likeness of that one that is all there is. And in this awareness now, we accept who and what we are. And in this moment, we give thanks to have been here. We give thanks for one another. We give thanks for this beautiful country. We give thanks for the abundance of every good thing that is in our lives right here and right now. I am knowing as we go from here that this morning has been one of enlightenment, of understanding, of brother and sisterhood, of oneness with God, and that everything that is heard here was the truth and nothing but the truth, and we accept it as so. And as we go, we know we go in safety, we go in peace, we go in love, we go in wisdom and understanding. We go forth as God in action. And this knowledge, this oneness affects not only our individual selves, it affects our homes, our community, our neighborhood, our country. It affects the entire universe, for it is the energy out of which everything that is seen is created, and we are expressions of it. So I give thanks for this togetherness, for this oneness, for this life, for this love, for the peace, for the joy, for the health, for the wealth, and the abundance of every good thing in our lives. And I claim this on behalf of all who are here, all within the sound of my voice. This is the truth about each and every one of us. So we accept it, we feel it, we know it, and it appears in our lives on time and in order. And for this we are truly grateful. This is now placed into that great law of mind that knows only to produce after its own kind. And this law is working in our life to produce all that we have spoken of, because it is the truth. And we are having it in our lives. It is expressed in our experiences, and truly, we are God in action. And I'm giving thanks for this moment, and I release these words. The law is acting upon it because it is the truth. And I give thanks that it is so now, and so it is.